You guys look like you're waiting for something. All right, we want to welcome all of you to our event tonight. We're glad that you chose tonight to come out and spend a little time with us. And I know you're going to learn some things that you did not know. So just sit back and relax and enjoy the program. So what I'm going to do now is turn it over to Carly. And Carly is with 102.3, and that's how I got acquainted with her. So she's, you can see that big smile, and she's used to talking.
Thank you guys for coming tonight, and thank you very much for having me. Like she said, I do work for Country Superstars 102.3. If you like classic country music, I personally invite you to listen. We play the real country music, is what I like to say. I see a lot of you wearing purple, and that's exciting. Thank you for wearing purple. I was thinking about it yesterday, and I even laid out my purple shirt, and then I walked right out of the house this morning and left it. So forgive me. You probably already know that there's about 3 million people that are diagnosed with Alzheimer's every year. So you being here tonight, I know you have lots of choices of things that you can do, but you coming shows that you care. And some of you may be here for different reasons. Maybe it's to honor someone that you know, a family member, to remember somebody, or maybe it's just that you want to help and make a difference, and we're hoping that we can end this terrible disease one day. Also, I learned something pretty cool when I was preparing for this. Have you noticed where some of the downtown buildings have been turning their lights to green in honor of our veterans? It's kind of a movement that's all across the nation. People are putting green lights on. Well, apparently, larger cities and people are doing that too in November for Alzheimer's. And it's teal. The color is teal. And I know you're thinking, teal? Why? Because we're wearing purple. But the reason they're doing teal is because the teal represents a calming. It's something about that color just makes you feel relaxed and de-stressed. And maybe that's why so many of us enjoy going to the beach and looking at the water. It kind of makes sense. Well, when you take the teal color and you match it with red, which shows energy and vibrant and confidence, that represents the caregivers. And some of you here may be caregivers, because without your strength, what would we do? I mean, you play an important role in this. So when you match the red and the teal together, you get purple. And that's how we get purple with Alzheimer's. So if you didn't know that, now you know. All right, I'd like to introduce, 2 more things. On your program, if you didn't get a program, you want to walk back there and get you one, or maybe they'll bring you one because there's a number on there. So you're going to want that for later. And when we get to the candle lighting, we'll pass around the candles and we will light one off of another, and that'll be a special ceremony. So right now is Neil Davis. He is the Executive Director of Community and Senior Services.
Well, good evening. Thank you, Carly, and appreciate you being here. I'm the Executive Director for Community and Senior Services, and I am a senior. And I was reminded of that this past weekend when I went to my hometown of New Bern, North Carolina, and participated in our 55th high school class reunion. And it made us all realize how time marches on so quickly. And we also realize how blessed we really are to even be able to attend an event like that. So that was a great time. I came to Johnston County in 1972, so here we are. 50 years I've been a resident here in Johnston County, raised a family here, and I love this part of the state. I was looking at the census, when you talk about looking back several decades, and we recently had another census count, it caused me to ponder some of the numbers. And so I just want to share you a few statistics that are interesting to me, particularly as they apply to us here in Johnston County. From 1960 through the 1970s, Johnston County's population actually declined. If you can imagine that, it went down from 65,000 to about 61,000. So it dipped during that period of time. But by 1980, we saw growth began to resume, And certainly in 2000, we saw a whopping 50% increase in the county's population. In 2010, we saw another 39% increase. And in 2020, we saw yet another 28% increase. So we've gone from 63,000 people in 1960 to over 226,000 people today. Think about that. In the last 20 years alone, our population has almost doubled. So consider that, or consider this fact that 14% of that group are folks over the age of 65. If you do the math, that's 31,000 people. 31,000 people in our county over the age of 65. So what does 31,000 look like? Well, that is actually more than the towns of Smithfield, Selma, Benson, Four Oaks, Pine Level, and Princeton combined. Here at CSS, our multipurpose senior centers offer program activities for folks as young as age 50. That has become more popular in senior center programming across the nation, is to lower that age because people now want to be involved and be more active. And even elderly folks will tell you they're not old, right? They just want to be active. So if 50 is a number that enables you to participate in senior center activities, when you look at the population of Johnston County and consider the age group starting at age 50, then you add another group of folks, bringing up another 75,000 people. 75,000 people is a third of the population of the whole county. So think about that. And that is more than the population of every municipality in Johnston County combined, including the town of Clayton. So as we think about serving our population with programs and services, you know, it's important to think about that a third of our population are more than eligible and more than welcome to participate in what we do. And so we have to think about our facilities and space and the ability to serve a continually growing population. Joyce wanted me to mention too, another program that we're responsible for is the Johnston County Area Transit System, or JCATS. We've got 32 vehicles on the road. I'm sure you see them scooting around town and even in neighboring counties as they transport folks to medical appointments and things like that. 10 years ago, our board had a vision that said if Johnston County continues to grow, the demand for public transportation is certainly going to increase. So at that time, we made a plan, and for the next 5 years, we refined our JCATS business model to look more like an enterprise. And by 2015, that effort resulted in the organization being financially stable enough to begin the process of searching for funding for a facility that would serve Johnston County for the next 30 years. And finally, after 4 attempts to win federal funding, I'm delighted to say that construction of a modern 14,000 square foot operations and fleet maintenance facility began this past February. So we have strived to design that facility to meet the needs of our citizens for decades to come. I tell folks that building's got to last 50 years. It took a long time to get it here, and it's got to last 50 years. But think about it. 10 years ago, when we had this original vision of what we needed to do toward the development of public transportation to the level it needs to be in Johnston County, 10 years ago, who knew that this facility that we're building right now would include electric vehicle charging stations? 10 years ago, you never would have thought that. 10 years ago, who knew that you would be able to book a ride on JCATS using your smartphone with an app? Who knew that? Heck, 10 years ago, smartphones were just beginning to come on the market. And 10 years ago, who knew that we would be talking about commuter rail. 10 years ago, who knew that we would be building Interstate 540 and Interstate 42 right here in Johnston County? Things are moving fast here in Johnston County, and our vision for public transportation remains focused on the fact that we need to continue to provide expanded service for more folks in our county, and certainly with this facility, that will take us a long way toward being able to achieve that. So here we are, embracing 75,000 of our citizens that fit within the programs and scope of what we do. So ask yourself, can we do more, and how can we do more? So I'll let you decide. But thank you for coming, and I just lost my mic. I think the 1, 2, 3. Anyway, I'll hand it over to our next.
Turn it back.
Oh, turn it back on. All right, sorry about that. I think it's telling me my time is up, right? Okay. All right, thank you very much, and have a good evening.
Next, we have a special person here, Bishop Eugene Hartley, and he's going to lead us in the invocation.
If you would, please stand. Bow your heads. Heavenly Father, as we call upon your holy name right now, we do glorify you and we honor you. You have been so good to us, Lord, in so many ways we can never thank you enough for the blessings, Lord, of life that you have bestowed upon each and every one of us. We thank you for all of these that have assembled here tonight for this special occasion and ask your blessings to be upon them. We do thank you, Master Lord, for our families and the blessings that you bestowed upon our families. We know, Master, that there's been times that sickness has come and we've not really understood everything about certain diseases. But we're thankful, Lord, that you have allowed man to learn. And you have put within the heart of individuals a desire to treat and to help others, to help the members of the family, Lord, that are in need, and also to help the family, because so often there's a great need in their lives as well. We thank you, Lord, for your blessings upon them, for your blessings upon the workers, Lord, that are doing so much to help treat these patients. We just ask, Father, Lord, for your favor to be upon us as we continue to labor and as we continue to do the things that we might be able to bless and help others. We'll glorify you, Lord, for all that is done. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen. You might be seated.
See, we knew that you had a loud voice, that you could handle it without a microphone.
Yeah, I listened to him on Sunday.
Can you get loud?
Oh, yeah.
Can you get loud? Not one of those fire and brimstone preachers, though, right? Just kidding. All right, we're blessed to have one of our county commissioners with us, Ted Godwin, and he's going to read to us the Johnston County Alzheimer's Proclamation.
Thank you, Carly. Good evening. Neil Davis and I share a lot of commonalities. We were both graduated the same year from high school. My year was 55 this year. He was raised in Newbern. I used to live in Newbern. We're both veterans. I used to be on the Citizen Senior Services Board. How long have you been here, Neil?
50 years.
No.
Oh, here, 12 years.
12 years. When the position was open, I knew Neil had applied for it. I lobbied everybody I could to name him as executive director. And Jimmy, I can look back and say, see, I told you so. He does a great job, as well as Joyce and all the staff, and I thank you for what you do. You represent me now as a senior citizen. Sarah Mildred Godwin was my mother. She was born in 1926. She had 8 babies throughout those years. There's 4 of us left. I'm the oldest one now. My mom passed away a little bit in 1995. She passed away a little bit in 96 and 97. And in 2001, my dad called me at the bank and said, "Your mom's going home." I don't know of a disease or malady that affects us humans or robs us of as much as Alzheimer's does. And I suspect that everyone here tonight is a member of a family that has been touched by it. So on behalf of the Board of Commissioners, I welcome you here and I thank you for coming. On October 17th, we adopted a proclamation that I'd like to read to you. Alzheimer's disease, whereas Alzheimer's disease is a progressive degenerative disease of the brain causing deterioration in memory and thinking, as well as judgment and reasoning ability. It also affects behavior, emotions, and the ability to perform self-care. And whereas Alzheimer's disease is the 7th leading cause of death in the United States, killing more than breast and prostate cancer combined. And whereas it is also the 6th leading cause of death in North Carolina and also right here in Johnston County. And whereas 1 in 3 senior citizens dies with Alzheimer's or another dementia, and more than half of all Americans know someone who has or had Alzheimer's. And whereas more than 6 million Americans are now living with Alzheimer's disease, with over 180,000 residing here in North Carolina. And whereas Alzheimer's disease affects whole families, since it is a long-term illness that requires long-term care. And whereas over 11 million family members and friends are serving as their unpaid caregivers nationwide, 350,000 of those giving care are North Carolinians. And whereas an estimated 15.3 billion hours of care valued at nearly $257 billion will be provided to those with Alzheimer's and other dementia in 2021. And whereas in 2021, Alzheimer's and other dementia will cost the nation $355 billion. That figure could be as high as $1.1 trillion by the year 2050. And whereas with early detection and diagnosis, individuals and families can gain access to treatment medications, enroll in critical research trials, and fully participate in planning for the future. And whereas the Johnston County Board of Commissioners recognizes individuals, families, friends, and caregivers dealing with the devastating effects of Alzheimer's disease, the researchers who are seeking a cause or causes and cure, and the educational programs and support services provided by Alzheimer's organizations, now therefore, the Johnston County Board of Commissioners does hereby proclaim November 2022 as Alzheimer's Disease Awareness and Caregivers Month in Johnston County and urges our citizens to commend its observance. Thank you.
All right, our first presenter is a special lady with a heart of gold. If I had to guess, you probably don't know how to say no. Am I right, Arthur? Her mom's here, right, Evelyn? She has volunteered with Community and Senior Services for many years. She's been with Johnston Memorial Hospital for 18 years. She currently works in ICU and progressive care. She's been a gerontologist since 2021, and her goal is to be a geriatric nurse. Like I said, she's done 2 different internships with Community and Senior Services, and I heard about all the volunteer hours you put in there, and man, she volunteered. So she's going to be talking to us about the face of a caregiver.
Right? Okay. I hate being short. Is that too much? Everybody hears me okay? So I want to thank Joyce for asking me to do this, but she knows she can ask me anytime and I'll help her with anything. I love what they provide at CSS, and I love my seniors. That's why I became a gerontologist. And sometimes people will ask me, what's a gerontologist? So if anybody doesn't know, it is the study of the people groups that are over the age of 60 years old. And I have been very fortunate to have encountered people even over 100 years old that could have some of the best conversations with me, especially one lady, 103, and I said, how in the world do you think that you've managed to live this long? And she says, well, my husband died about 30 years ago, and that was that. I was done. And I never had any children because why do I want any? I let all my brothers and sisters have children, and then I handpicked the smart ones. I helped put them through school, and now they do anything for me that I want. I didn't have all that stress. I don't have heart attacks. She says, all my brothers and sisters are dead and gone now, but guess what? I still have my few that I handpicked, and they take such good care of me. So that was just a treasure to me. And her goal was to live to be 104, and she did make it. She lived about 2 weeks past her 104th birthday before God called her home. But I just love that. There's something about why should I have children? Because my brothers and sisters had so many. I just picked the ones I want. For those of us that have kids, we didn't have that luxury, did we? We couldn't pass them around. So anyway, the thing I want to talk with you tonight about is the face of a caregiver. You know, it's not like you get up one morning, you go in the bathroom, you look in the mirror, and most of us will say, oh my gosh, I got to go to work, or oh my gosh, I've got all these things to do. But I know you didn't look in the mirror and go, you know, I think I want to be a caregiver today. Because that's not the reality of how that job functions. The reality is that being a caregiver comes when you least expect it. In many cases, a person may be watching their loved one's health go down, thinking one day I might have to step in and I might have to provide care. But it's like even at that, all of a sudden, overnight, in the blink of an eye, something happens, and then you are 100% of all the caregiving that that person is going to get. You are it. Now, some people might say, no, I would never have to be the caregiver. But if that heart that the good Lord gave you is working, there is no way that somebody that took good care of you when you were little and you couldn't do, that you won't give back to them. So caregiving for those who have cognitive impairments like Alzheimer's, like dementias, memory loss from accidents, this is more impactful for you because you knew that person before the diagnosis. You knew that they were vivacious. You knew they took care of themselves 100%. They smiled, they had conversation, they even sang. And then all of a sudden there's this diagnosis, and you're left with having to bear in mind that that person is no longer going to be that person as we knew them. There's going to be a personality dynamics change that for some it may be mild, but for others it's quite traumatic. The changes, it just feels like Alzheimer's comes on overnight and robs them of the person that they were. And so the job for you is to remember that you don't have to be medically trained to be the caregiver, but you do have to be a person that possesses great patience. And you have to be somebody that has a desire that the quality of life of the person that you are going to care for becomes your priority. You become their advocate. Because I work in a hospital setting. When a patient is unable to speak through themselves, then the staff feels that obligation to try to be the advocate. But it touches my heart when family members are right there, the caregivers are right there, and they step up to the plate and they become the advocate. And I feel sure that if any of our folks that have gone on and left us that had Alzheimer's could go back and see all that you were able to provide for them, especially being their advocate, they would say thank you. So with all of that being said, talking about how important it is to be the caregiver, to be the advocate, to be there for them, then I want to say thank you, a very heartfelt thank you for each of you that have been caregivers. Whether your loved one has gone on, or if you are currently in the caregiving status, or if you're one of those that's sitting on the sidelines with anticipation, because you know at some point it may be coming. Having been a caregiver myself over the years, I have had opportunity to care for a loved one that had Alzheimer's. And we also, I've had family members that have had life-threatening conditions. And it's same and different all at the same time. It's like these conditions are overwhelming, but when you take certain conditions and then you add dementias to it, it's like sometimes you have to say, Lord, just help me tie a knot in it and hang on. So I know firsthand what the sacrifice then for you being caregivers is like. I know the burdens that you have and that you face on a daily, routine of what will happen next. Where we used to take for granted that is the door closed and is it locked? And then all of a sudden you're missing your person and you have to go outside and find them. I mean, it's just these little things that are so important for us as caregivers. But for those of us who have lost somebody special to us due to these tools of Alzheimer's and dementias, let me say that I do understand when I hear people say, it is a relief that I no longer watch their suffering. But it is also a great sadness for me because my loved one is gone. But the realities of it, I'll reiterate what Ted said. You lose them a little bit every day. And it's hard to watch that. And you have to be careful not to let them see that it hurts you, because actually it hurts them too, and it'll hurt them until they get to the point that they don't remember. And so I always encourage people, try to keep that smile on your face. You can break down later, but try to keep your smile on your face. So not everyone is designed to be a caregiver. Let's go ahead and admit that. Caregivers are very unique individuals because they have a desire to help another person. Caregivers are usually found to be ordinary people. They just happen to have a spouse, an aunt, an uncle, a sister, a brother, a grandparent, one of their children, or possibly somebody close to you that's not even a blood relative. But all of a sudden they're diagnosed with a cognitive function disorder, and you will be there to help them. Some caregivers are retired, and there are other caregivers that are still having to work, whether it's full-time or part-time. Some are like an only child situation, and you have others where there's a lot of siblings, and one of two things is going to happen. All the siblings will come together and they will share the duties. But then there's those that will carry that burden on their shoulders by themselves, because there are people that fear Alzheimer's and dementias. It's like they feel like if they touch you, it'll get on them. But that's not how we need to look at that. And I want you to know, if you are the one that has to carry that torch by yourself, you are not alone. You're here in Johnston County and we have support systems. If you're a member of a church, you have a support system. So you are not alone. So your role is going to change while you're a caregiver. You'll find that some days you're just personal secretary because you're so busy keeping up with all those appointments. And then you're the nursing assistant because you've got to help them with the struggles of their daily living, like the routines to eat food, to go to the bathroom and to take a bath. Some days you're the bookkeeper because you're trying to maintain the finances of the person you're caring for, things like paying their bills and making sure the repairs in the house are done. Then you're a chef because who else is going to plan and prepare the meals? You're a housekeeper because you have to keep the laundry done and you want to keep the house clean. You're a fitness trainer because the doctor tells you, well, you need to try to keep them moving, but at the same time, but don't let them fall and don't let them break a bone. And then you're a taxi driver because you got to carry them to those doctor's appointments and you have to do the grocery shopping. And last but not least, you are a social director because you want to encourage and plan visits for your loved ones so they can see friends and other relatives for as long as their situation will allow that to happen. The fact is that there are so many jobs of a caregiver that you may find yourself doing any number of these tasks on a day-to-day basis. Now, with all of the many faces that the caregiver is having to put on, it's no wonder that we suffer from stress and anxiety, and sometimes it can become a problem. So as a caregiver, you must remember that your own health must be a consideration. There are resources to help you. We have support groups. You might need a respite service that would give you a couple of days rest when you need it. A caregiver who is exhausted may need a caregiver themselves, and then that would be another burden. A study by the Transamerica Institute at USC in 2017, they did a study of caregivers, and they found that about 55% of our caregivers place their own health on the back burner while they care for their loved ones. And 69% of them will allow their own finances to slip out of control while trying to provide the daily care necessary for dementia-diagnosed loved ones. There is help and support for you, I promise, here in this community. Do not fear to prevent yourself from seeking this help. It's not anything to be ashamed of. Don't wait until you are overwhelmed to the point that it's not even wise for you to continue to be the caregiver. You need to accept and acknowledge the things that you can change and to accept those things that you can't. I need you to take a break. I want you to get a cup of coffee. I want you to take a walk, do some yoga. I want you to trust others that they can help you with the routines that is required for your loved one. Since March of 2020, caregivers have had to face COVID-19. So already fighting isolation as a consequence of this disease process, now COVID-19 has been added to your list. Being forced to stay inside and limiting exposure to other individuals can be difficult, and it's almost impossible in many cases. If you were not living with the care recipient before, now you would find yourself in a position that perhaps you need to be living together in an effort to keep them safe and to keep you safe as well from COVID. Anxiety, fear, and depression became so heightened for the many months of all of our challenges with COVID. Thankfully, a vaccine was introduced to help, but remembering that you are dealing with a person who may not understand why that shot is so necessary could also give you more challenges. So before I close, I felt like we needed to do something to pep up this conversation. So I have 2 exercises that I want us to do together. Stress relief can never be emphasized enough. And laughter, as you may have heard, is the best medicine. Because guys, it really does work. Don't you find when you're just so tired and then somebody will say something and it just hits you just right and it's just so funny. And then otherwise it might not have been funny, but you sure thought it was funny. So what I'm going to do is I want you to laugh out loud. I'm going to count to 3. And when I say 3 now, I want you to give me the best laugh that you've got, okay? 1, 2, 3. Now, how'd that feel? Wasn't that pretty good? All right, so let's do that one more time. I'm going to count to 3. 1, 2, 3. You see? That wasn't hard. You didn't have to go pay a therapist. We did it right here. With or without a mask, you were fine. But see, you need these breaks in your day. All right, so I'm going to do that one more time. 3's a charm. On 3. 1, 2, 3. That was starting to sound a little weak. But that's okay. We're going to do the next one. At the last caregiver conference that we had that was sponsored by Community and Senior Services, one of our speakers had this awesome little tool that she used for stress relief. And I'm going to share it with you. And anytime you are feeling overwhelmed or down, I want you to try this. I want you to know that you are special, and I want you to feel good about your caregiver journey. Even though you may be completely worn out, I want you to know you're doing a good thing. It is special people that are caregivers. So here is our last little fun thing. I want you to repeat after me. I'm going to say it through the first time, and then I'm going to have you say it with me. I am amazing. You are amazing. And we are amazing. Now, do you think you got that? All right, so repeat after me. I am amazing. You are amazing. And we are amazing. Now, did you think that was funny? You should have a little bit. I know that's something some of you do. You look in the mirror sometimes and you say you're amazing. I'm sure some of you do, especially my men. All right, so let's do that one more time, okay? Repeat after me. I am amazing. You are amazing. We are amazing. How about that? Nice deep breath. It was good. Well, everything that happens twice has to happen 3 times. So we'll make you do it one more time, and then we're good, okay? So here we go. I am amazing. You are amazing. And we are amazing. I hope that this small conversation has helped you in some way, enlightened you in some way, helped you not feel like you're alone in the world as a caregiver, because there are so many caregivers, and we are in the baby boomer bunch. There will be more people to be cared for from the baby boomer generation than any of the other ones in the future. And so we just need to sit up, pay attention, and do the best we can, and ask questions. You know, information is a powerful thing. I want to thank you for your time this evening, and most importantly, I want to thank you for stepping up to the plate, for being that unique face of a caregiver and taking care of a loved one. Thank you.
Thank you, Deborah. Yeah, caregivers really are true heroes. Okay, I hope you're never faced with having to call 911. And I'll tell you something interesting. My friend, Officer Julie Carroll, she's here tonight. I got to do a ride-along in a police car last week. That was so much fun. I mean, I left, I was like, I want to be a police officer. Not really, but it was exciting. But she took me to the 911 center, and that's why I'm bringing that up. You talk about a stressful job. They got 5 different screens. They're answering phones. Everything's touch screen. It was just amazing to see the behind-the-scene viewpoint from that. So our next presenter is Keenan Larson, and he's a paramedic with Johnston County Emergency Services. He's been doing it for 7 years. He's a resident from JoCo. He's been here his whole life, and he took advantage of the cadet program. And so he started right into school, went through Johnston Community College, and then came to work for us. So we appreciate you staying in JoCo. So he's going to share with us when it is time to call 911.
Hello everyone, my name is Keenan Larson. I currently am a community paramedic here in Johnston County, and I work for Johnston County Emergency Services. We are the sole 911 EMS provider for the entire county, all 796 square miles. There's 23 ambulances, a couple of supervisors spaced throughout the county. So when I was asked to come speak, I wasn't really sure what I was supposed to be speaking about. They kind of told me to do a brief overview of the county, Like Carly said, I'm from Johnston County. I've been here my whole life. I started at a very young age, at 15. Been here for 7 years. I'll let you guys do the math. So I started at 15, worked my way through the cadet program, and then about 3 years ago became a paramedic. So in Johnston County, we're fortunate to have a paramedic on every single ambulance in the county, and a very beneficial program that we use to relieve some of the burden of having to call 911. An ambulance transport can be very expensive. So we have a subscription program here in Johnston County that is $60 one time a year, and it covers everything your insurance does not cover for the ambulance ride. So we do a subscription drive once a year starting in July 1. So taking advantage of that, especially for the caregivers, it can take the burden off if you do have to call 911. That is a big deterrent for people, is the cost of the ambulance ride. So when to call 911? We ask that you call 911 anytime you're having any chest pain, shortness of breath, difficulty breathing, signs or symptoms of a stroke, any changing in mental status. That's a big one with the dementia patients and Alzheimer's patients. Anybody that has worked with Alzheimer's and dementia patients, they know that no 2 days are the same. You don't always get the same person when you walk into the room and when you walk out of the room. So any changing in mental status, it could be a medical condition or a new onset of something. So we ask that you just be hypervigilant and keep a close eye on these people. Alzheimer's patients and dementia patients have a special place in my heart. I've had several family members that have had Alzheimer's and dementia. My mom actually is a CNA, and she worked with Alzheimer's and dementia patients. That's why I'm a paramedic, because I said I would never be a nurse. I said I won't do what you do. I'll just do everything that you don't do. But that's about all I have.
We talk about something in radio, on our radio program, we say, don't redneck it to the hospital. Can you tell them why it's important to call 911 and not try to take them to the hospital themselves?
Absolutely. So many people don't know EMS and paramedicine and the entire emergency medical field is still very new. The late 90s is when it all started to come about, and everyone still thinks that we just scoop you up and put you in the ambulance and we tote you to the hospital. That's not quite how it works anymore. All paramedics go through lots of training, and we get lots of education and knowledge about how to treat patients and care for patients in emergent situations, as well as the advanced EMTs and EMTs. We carry lots of equipment and medication and supplies to help treat and begin treatment. That way we're not delaying any further care. For heart attacks and strokes, we want to minimize that window of them getting the care as fast as possible.
And when he's taking you to the hospital, he's already called it in. So they're expecting you versus you going to the line and waiting for your number to be called. Big difference.
Absolutely. And there are times that, we do take patients to the lobby. It does happen, but it all goes off of the triage system. Who's the most critical and who needs to be treated first. My position as a community paramedic, I work with patients that are high-risk readmissions to the hospital here in Johnston County. We work very closely with community and senior services quite often. And the majority of our patients are seniors. We've had a couple of elderly dementia and Alzheimer's patients. So if there is anything that we can do, feel free to call us. Everyone should know the number. It's the easiest number to remember. And hopefully you don't ever have to utilize our services, but if so, we are always here 24/7. Thank you.
Are we ready to do the lighting ceremony? No. Oh, special music, that's right. My bad. Okay, next. Barbara. And I love saying your name on the radio because to call about the program, it's like, just call Barbara. So she has a special song to sing for us.
Thank you. Graham, I'm so glad you're here. Saw you when you come in. I thought this song that I plan to do is very fitting for this because we have precious memories of when they were in their sane, good mind, and now we have memories of what's going on with them too, and all of them are precious. And can I take this microphone out? Yeah. It's a little bit easier for me to, I don't know what I'm getting. I got it. Precious memories, unseen angels, sent from somewhere to my soul. How they linger ever near me, and the sacred past unfold. Precious memories, how they linger, how they ever flood my soul. In the stillness of the midnight, precious sacred scenes unfold. Precious Father, loving Mother, fly across the lonely years, and old home scenes of my childhood, in fond memories appear. Precious memories, how they linger, how they ever flood my soul. In the stillness of the midnight, precious sacred scenes unfold. Now, what you want? You gonna ask for that? You gonna ask for the other one?
Yes. Hold on.
Well, let me get the guitar.
Wow. Sure. While she's getting her guitar, Barbara is the Community Senior Services Volunteer Coordinator. So if you are looking for ways to do something and give back to your community, she would love to put your hands to work, even if it's just an hour or two a month. And Ted was talking about, and Neil was talking about all the people that are moving into our county. Maybe your neighbor or someone that goes to church with you is new and wants to find a way to get connected. Barbara would be a great person to introduce them to and help them get connected to giving back to our community and meeting other people at the same time.
Thank you. It is so humbling and so needed, and I would welcome the time to talk with you. And when I get a volunteer, I'll tell them all you're going to get attached to them. Joyce loves this song. My life was empty without a goal. Then I let Jesus into my soul. Now I'm so happy I never been alone. Jesus put you in my soul. Jesus, Jesus, Jesus set me free. Yodeling, yodeling, yodeling.
see why Miss Joyce likes that song. You should have been on the CMAs last night. All right, now we are ready to do the candlelight ceremony. So we're passing around candles. Who's going to be the lucky person to light one first? Miss Joyce, you want to light the first one? All right, Ted. I'll light one. All right, so Ted, you want to start us off, and then you'll light behind you, and then we'll go down the line and through. Right, right. And as you're lighting your candle, you want to tell us who your candle is in memory of or honor of, or who you're thinking about? Does everyone? Yeah, we'll all stand.
I'm gonna light it in memory of my mom, Mildred Gardner.
Memory of my mother, Pearl Holland.
In memory of my father, Robert Sellers. In honor of Johnston.
In honor of my grandmother, Roosevelt Cox, and my Aunt Christine.
In honor of my father and mother, Herman and Lily Matthews. In memory of Herman and Lily Matthews.
In memory of my grandmother-in-law, Ida Virginia.
The love of my wife Carol, of 57 years. She's the reason I get up in the mornings.
This is in honor of my sister, Virginia Bradley.
In honor of my sister-in-law Virginia and our deceased neighbors, in memory of them, Ida Ren and Blanca Pickett. In honor of my grandma Virginia Pickett.
in honor of my Aunt Sandy Eddy.
In memory of my mother, Hazel Beasley.
In honor of all caregivers.
In memory of my dad, Bishop David P. Partner.
I'll let you speak about it.
I don't know what to say. This is so beautiful to see us standing here doing this, sad at the same time. So we want to blow out our candles. Okay, you can come back up. I think we got door prizes.
Okay. We do have door prizes to give away. I want to tell you, thank you so much for coming. If you're currently caring for someone, thank you. You're making a big difference. I believe you'll have many stars on your crown in heaven. I'm thinking about when you're on an airplane. You know they always tell you when you watch that video, when the thing drops, that you're supposed to put your mask on first? They're like, don't you want to put it, you want to help someone else, but you got to do you first. And they have a great caregiver luncheon coming up on December 10th.
Yeah, thank you for that.
Yeah, so if you are caregiving for someone, or maybe you know someone that is caregiving, please help us spread the word. It's going to be in Clayton at Venero's from 12 to 3. She was talking about laughter. They have a comedian coming. The guy's hilarious. So we'd love for you to come to that. We do need you to register. So please help us spread the word. Again, that's Saturday, December 10th.
Oh, and I did want to say something that's not on the agenda, but Brenda Shaw is our caregiver support leader, and she is currently out on sick leave. Hopefully she will be back in next week. But she's the one to call sometimes if you are just having a bad day and you just want somebody to talk with, just to listen to you. She's always there. If you call, she'll take time to listen to you, and she won't tell you what to do. Nobody can tell you what to do, but it's always a good listening ear if you need somebody. As me also, I'm a good listener, and I won't tell you what to do either, but I'm a good listener because I've been through this several years ago with my mother, so I kind of know what it's all about. It's so sad. But then at the same time, you learn so much from it, and you just do the best you can with your loved one. That's all you can do, because we can't stop it sometimes, but just being there for them, listening to them, pat them on the back, and we never say, I just told you that, or I've told you that 100 times. We don't do that. We just pretend that this is the first time that you've ever said that to me. And it can be difficult, but you just keep on going. You just keep on trucking, as I say. And it's sad, but I'm so appreciative for us being able to get together like this and just share with each other. And it kind of tells you that I'm not alone in this. There's a lot of people out there, in the same place that we're in. So we just try to support each other. And it can be sad, but then again, when they're gone, you can say, I did everything I could, and I have no regrets. That's what I always said about mine. I said, I have no regrets, because I listened to her and I tried to help take care of her like her other children did. And I guess if I could say there's anything that I would like to do different, I would have just said I would like to have been able maybe to do more to make it easier on her, because it is a dreadful disease. And I guess I feel like that I have always been so driven to work all the time and to support this program, because I guess I think that'll keep me from having it. That's my fear, that I'll be that way, that I will get it and, you know, and experience myself what she went through. But y'all pray that that doesn't happen, that I'm still able to keep doing this. And Craig's sitting over there, I know, and I want to thank Craig Ollie for making this possible for us to come in here each year. And we've done this for several years, but he always can make it happen. And he kind of stays in the background, and he doesn't want any attention. He doesn't want you to bring attention to him, but he does make this possible, and we're so appreciative of you, Craig. And to all of you, and did you introduce your board members that are here?
Yeah. Let's see, we have our board chairman, Mr. Jimmy Parkers. Wave your hand, Mr. Jimmy, there you go, and Mr. Lloyd Barnes. Commissioner Godwin's also a past member of our board and was always so faithful in attending every meeting, so thank you for that. Door prizes?
Okay. While you're getting that, also, if you know someone that wanted to come but wasn't able to make it tonight, or you want to go back and rewatch this, we do want to thank Adam Carroll upstairs and his team, Ben Armstrong. They're live streaming this on the county's website, YouTube channel. So you can go back and rewatch it, or if you, like I said, you know someone that would like to see it, you can have them, direct them to that website.
We have some door prizes. Who would like to win something tonight? Okay, where do they look for their number?
On the back of the program.
Look on the back of your program. So we're looking for, I can't see. We're looking for number 2.
Anybody got 2? Look on the back of your programs.
Anybody with number 2? Somebody had it, didn't they?
Didn't go back, I guess.
Okay. All right, number 8.
Anybody got 8?
Has anybody got number 8? Where did they find that on the